Leon Edwards is the most bullied champion in UFC history. Never mind champion, he might just be the most bullied fighter in UFC history. I think the only fighter possible that could give Edwards a run for his money for the most heartless or most bullied champion of all time would maybe be Anthony Smith if he just took the DQ win against Jones when he threw that illegal strike. Kind of like the time he threw an illegal strike at the mother of his children that one time.
I got the Hall of Fame tonight. And then you're going to put me on this by walking down the street.
You think with the way that Leon Edwards has been performing as of recently that maybe perhaps he's washed or he's past it, but nope. Don't let the hairline and bald spot deceive you, especially compared to Sean Brady's, whose hairline is so clean, I think John Jones might even want to sniff it. But Leon Edwards, in fact, is still only 33 years of age. And hey, I'm not saying a quick trip to Turkey like other fighters have been doing is the solution to fixing Leon Edwards' career or stopping him from basically getting bullied by everyone anymore. Even back in the day when his male pattern baldness hadn't fully kicked in yet, back in 2019 was busy getting pieced up by Masvidal backstage. As if it wasn't bad enough, he basically murdered Darren Till an hour prior. As if Leon Edwards didn't do enough taking it upon himself to let Masvidal embarrass the UK even more by getting pieced up backstage, we're now in big 2025, where he's now stinking up even more UK cards by getting absolutely bullied by Sean Brady, having fans boo him, walking out early.
The whole place is going, look, everyone's leaving. I feel like leaving myself.
And not landing a single significant strike in an entire round. This is the same level of output he put up against Masvidal. And now here we are. This is one of those rare cases where honestly a keyboard warrior couldn't do much worse. Granted, they'd get completely finished and stopped immediately, but at least the fight would be over and our misery would be done with. I'd even put it to the test. I'm willing to bet my life on it. I could land as many significant strikes on Sean Brady as Leon Edwards did in the second round. And don't get me wrong, Leon Edwards is obviously an incredible fighter, has great technique, ability, athleticism behind him. But what good is it when after a single round of doing nothing, you look like you're about to have a cardiac arrest? I mean, looks amazing on the pads, looks great at doing drills, but what good is it when he looks like a turtle off his back against any decent grappler? And if getting to main event in your own country after being humiliated there countless times doesn't motivate you, I don't know what's ever going to motivate this man. He looks like he's dying in between rounds after doing nothing. Sean Brady landing 3 pieces on him like a prime 2019 Masvidal backstage in London. Not to mention Sean Brady having 4 minutes and 57 seconds of control time in a single round. Not that I've actually checked, but I'm just going to go out and say that's definitely a record. I don't know who gets bullied worse than that ever in history of the UFC. And sure, Edwards in the third was finally putting some things together, keeping it on the feet, not being put on his back for 5 minutes, with a nice uppercut, landing a big elbow, just for 30 seconds later, shoot a sloppy takedown on Brady. I guess not only did Bilal dunk him on his head, but took the remaining brain cells with him. And if it couldn't get any worse, yet another fighter clowning Leon Edwards backstage in London. Headshot dead. Y'all don't even have guns in London. Hey, speak for yourself, buddy, all right? You even have his team clowning Edwards. And honestly, I can't even blame him. I hate the headshot dead thing too.
He was like, how tall are you? 5'8", 5'9"? Like, he was being a dickhead. Seen him, like, saying he walked up at the O2. He didn't know where I was at because I was so short. Always respected guys, but Leon, him and his whole team, and that's how I feel about the whole situation. But even his whole team, like, I try to like say what's up, and they were corny as shit too. So he's just salty. And then seeing all the shit he was saying about me throughout the week, I'm like, all right, I wish I was even fucking meaner to this dude. And that's why, like, I posted this shit about the headshot dead and them not having guns in London. Maybe Bilal was right about him. He's all butthurt about all kinds of shit. So I don't know.
You got Bilal Muhammad having the time of his life on Twitter after this one, and I can't blame him. I too would be annoyed with how much Leon Edwards has been yip-yapping, making excuses, and coping over this Bilal Muhammad fight still to this day.
What was life like after that fight in July?
I think right after, I was upsetting, obviously. But this is a guy that I know I can beat, right? I think 10 out of 10 times I beat this guy. You know, I think you got the one time. And
10 out of 10 times, and he got the one time. Yeah, the maths is not mathing, Leon. And the real sad part is, you know, I'm British, I'm biased. I'm one of the rare few people that's been a fan of Leon Edwards' entire career. Feels like it's been against my will most of the time, but, you know, I'm a fan nonetheless. As hard as it may have been at times, but, And it's been a roller coaster of emotions, with Edwards either doing the coolest shit you've ever seen that one time, or basically just getting clowned on all the time. And the most annoying part is, it seems like he either accepts it, or just voluntarily walks into Masvidal, piecing him up on camera backstage. Or he'll nearly get himself knocked out by round 5 pitter-patter volume striker Nate Diaz. Keep in mind, this was a big fight layup to Edwards that wasn't really deserved, and at the same time, nearly completely fumbled it against a old, washed-up Nate Diaz. Diaz hit him so hard that Edwards was basically doing his best impression of how he looks in between rounds nowadays. Wobbling around like he just stood up off the toilet with dead legs, or looking at the clock, surviving for his life. Against Nate Diaz, mind you. And honestly, in hindsight, I think Edwards should be thanking God for Khamzat's weak-ass immune system. Because if this fight was to have happened, I think it might actually be the first ever round 1 stoppage due to pressure. I cannot even begin to fathom how badly Khamzat would bully Leon Edwards. You know, if he didn't have the immune system of whoever has bad immune systems. I think diabetics, I don't know. And as a British fan, I have to say the UFC does do a lot to piss me off, like completely stalling Aspinall's career for a notorious drug-failing PED cheat, and now having him sit front row having to watch Leon Edwards fight live as if he's your hostage victim. But hey, at least this is what we have the UFC Apex for, so pack your bags, Leon. Back to the Apex. Or PFL, take your pick. But regardless of how much the UFC annoys me, I had to say thank you so much for taking this man's custom shorts away from him. No more custom British Jamaican shorts while getting dunked on your head and embarrassing all of us Brits. And, you know, the Jamaicans probably aren't happy either. So, shout out to any of the Jamaicans watching right now. We're not going to take it anymore. No surprise UFC have rushed to put these shorts on sale now. You know, quite a niche demographic for people to be buying British Jamaican custom shorts that make you look like a Bilal Muhammad abuse victim, but hey, it's your money, do what you want. So, not to mention $86 is still a criminal price. Granted, it could be worse. You could have paid tickets to watch him front row. And now after what seems to be Edwards losing the fans he had left in the UK, for now at least, until maybe he, you know, head kick KO someone after getting bullied for 3 rounds prior. But hey, we'll see. It seems like the general fan base just doesn't really give a fuck about Leon Edwards after this. Edwards now being remembered and probably may just go down as people discussing him being maybe the worst champion we've ever seen. Leon Edwards is the worst champion in UFC history, with 8,500 likes. That's rough. I guess he gets bullied by the fighters, the coaches, and the fans.
Posted eye emojis to the UFC London card. I'd like to be awake when the main event starts. Don't make it a snooze fest, Leon. You'd make a great addition to the early prelims. Whack a Leon animation underneath of him being slammed on his head by Bilal. You let him bully you, son. Retire already, yeah? Bald head ting, yeah. Put the fries in the bag. Cope harder, bum. Bilal is your new champ. You got bullied, son. I'm no longer a fan. Headshot dead, and it's him being dunked on his head. Why did you let Bilal dunk you? You boring. Don't let him bully you, son. What the fuck, man? Leon getting destroyed.
And hey, I think there's worse champions out there, you know, like maybe Michael Bisping. Jesus, we've had terrible champions. Like, Edwards has become so boring and forgettable that people will say he fluked the win against Usman, as if he didn't just beat him in a trilogy afterwards anyway. But to be fair, the most memorable part of the trilogy fight is probably the 5 dick kicks from Edwards. And then, of course, there's his other title defense against Colby Covington, where at least he managed to counter him, shut him down, and have his way with him for the most part. You know, not actually getting bullied. I mean, after dealing with Usman and Colby's wrestling and even taking their backs at times, really just sold us a lie, because ever since then, has been bullied ever since. And if we're being real, Colby Covington was a complete sham of a title defense anyway. Kind of similar to Michael Bisping defending his belt against, you know, 46-year-old 13th ranked Dan Henderson. Please, Tom Aspinall, please, just one good British champion, I beg. And whichever way you look at it, fluke or not, me personally, I think he set up the head kick well and it worked for him. My problem with the head kick KO is, I think it may have actually caused a split in reality, and we've been living in the wrong timeline ever since. Where Leon Edwards had finally won over the MMA community, was a fan favorite for a while, having fans chant headshot dead as if he doesn't only have 2 knockouts in 19 UFC fights. But hey, it didn't take Leon Edwards' new fan base to realize it was a complete scam. After Bilal Muhammad dunking Leon Edwards on his bald spot, the hype was just never the same, and we just went straight back to Leon Edwards getting bullied even more. And much like all the other fighters that take it upon themselves to embarrass Leon Edwards further backstage, at least Bilal Muhammad had the decency to not do that. Nope, he went one step further and had a parade in Manchester. I'm also just as confused as you. Fair enough if you're a Bilal Muhammad fan, nothing wrong with Bilal, you know. Just granted, I just can't get over the fact he had a parade in Manchester after beating the British champion. If that doesn't tell you how quickly UK fans are willing to move on from Edwards, I don't know what will. To conclude, I honestly didn't expect this video to kind of be so mean, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, if it looks like Leon Edwards isn't even willing to help himself, I don't really know what to tell you. As a British fan, it's f***ing annoying. And with that, I do hope he can pick himself back up and start, you know, doing something. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that, mostly because I would die. All I can ask for UK MMA right now is if we can just please give Aspinall his title shot. And for the love of God, no more Edwards main events in London.
Sign up to my boy's YouTube channel. That is JG2. And for those who don't, you can do me a favor and you can bend the knee to King Triple C too.